so we don't rock the boom. And yep, that's ready to spray. Good. So that puts this field on 2 applications. And we'll get the third one in probably 2 or 3 days' time. The field we just did should be ready to mow either tomorrow or the day after. I do want a carting tractor. Something a little bit smaller than the Axion and the Challenger. But for right now, I can't afford it, and I'm not borrowing another. Well, speaking of borrowing another, let's repay some of that. No point racking up a bunch of interest payments when we don't need to. I also need to have a check on the value of canola at this point. We've probably got the entire day to harvest that field. It's not particularly big. So there will be time to cart at least some of the grain down to a store and sell it. If I can make a bit more income today. Although, well, that said, we've got that silage that's going to be ready tonight as well. Probably want to split that. Do a bit of the silage and maybe some of the canola. Let's have a look. No, that one. So transpose. Canola's only worth 500 right now and will probably peak about 650. Oh, let's just drive straight. It's kind of the British way as well, unfortunately, but it's borrowing money that's going to directly affect the farm's income. So it's a good thing. That's why I said I'm not, I want a smaller tractor to do the carting. And the only smaller tractor I've got that could manage the carting is this one. And it's currently set up for spraying work. So it's not like I've got a spare one. And I don't really want to be swapping standard tyres onto this today so I can cart the grains, and then tomorrow I'm going to have to put narrow tyres back on it so I can spray another field, and then as soon as that spraying job's finished I've got to put the standard tyres back on so I can cart some more grains, and it's just, not happening. But we have 2 big tractors which are perfectly capable of carting, so we'll use those for now. And as soon as we start selling grains, we'll be able to pay that debt back off again. So I'm not too worried about that right this minute. And we'll be back down here, I think, tomorrow to spray that field with herbicide. But that'll be, I think, the last spraying job of tomorrow. We'll have fertilization on the field that's over there somewhere that looks a little bit greenish. While I'm a little bit worried about having planted soybeans and whether we're actually going to get any crop off them. Depending on the late fall weather, we could end up that crop being a complete loss. In the meantime, I am going to at least attempt getting as good a yield as possible out of the crop. So we'll do what we can. Oh, we're almost out of liquid fertilizer. With seasons, weeds isn't as bad. This year it's kind of a frustration, but you look at how big that patch of weeds is, it's not affecting my bottom lines that significantly. You just have to treat them fairly regularly, and we've already proven that during the growth stage of a standard crop you can fertilize 3 times and still spray herbicide. And if you spray herbicide, then the weeds won't regrow until you harvest. So it's a permanent current crop treatment. But as I was speculating earlier, I might need to get a weeder to spot treat grass fields, because grass grows in one season. So if I harvest the grass at the end of spring, it's going to be ready to harvest again at the end of summer, and that's enough time to get 2 applications of fertilizer on that field. Whoa, back. Before it's ready to harvest again, and you can't put stuff on a field that's ready to harvest. So this is the first application of fertilizer on this. You already get 1 free from mowing the grass. The other grass field we've done has its 3rd level of fertilizer, 2nd application, but tomorrow it's going to be ready to harvest, and so I'm not going to be able to spread fertilizer on it. You can't, or herbicide on it. You can't spread herbicide in the same growth stage as you've spread what did I just say? You can't spread herbicide on the same growth stage as you've just spread fertilizer or manure or anything else that gets spread. So herbicide is not easily usable on grass fields. Now, once we've harvested the grass for the last time current year, I will be able to immediately spread fertilizer on it. But then when winter comes, the grass will die, and we'll need to or the grass growth will start all over again. Because it starts all over again, there's going to be more opportunity to spread stuff on it. So I will be spreading herbicide on the grass fields over the winter period, not necessarily during winter, but winter through early spring. there's more opportunities to spread stuff on the grass, so we'll treat them for herbicide or with herbicide then. Now next year I'm going to have ample time to treat all of my arable fields, because I get a fair amount of fertilization done over the fall-winter period. Now playing standard game with weeds, oh yeah, that's a pain in the butt, because the weeds just start at the top of the map and work their way down to the bottom, and then you have to treat them. So there's all our new stuff. Where's the... oh, there's the bale trailer. That's good. I left the logging trailer right in the middle of the stack there. Okay, let's turn the camera around. Zoom in some more. Why not? Okay, there we go. Oops. So these two tanks, I think, have 1800 approximately between the two of them. I believe that is the emptier of the reminder. Drag that over here. See if we can top off the tank. I think we've still got a little bit left over. Yeah. Probably use the Axion today for carting. I'll probably put the Lindner on the bale, on the header trailer, since that's kind of why we got it. Header trailer's the right size. I really don't want to use a 40-footer for a 25-foot header. Okay. So because we didn't set up using what do you call it? Cruise control? No, GPS. I don't have an auto position here that I can work for. We actually got quite a long way down the field. Looks like I missed a tiny little bit on the right here. Okay. So again, round again with the two reasons why we're spraying and not using a spreader is the spreader we have is not ideal for fertilizer. It's the really big one which has double wheels. No, yeah, it's a twin axle with very wide wheels on. It's not possible to put narrows on it. So if you tried to spread with it, you'd be destroying your crops. I could get a smaller spreader, but for this, it looks like from, what's it, our seeder uses liquid fertilizer. So I think most of our operation is either going to be using liquid fertilizer or animal byproducts for fertilization. I could do solid first, immediately after planting, but since the planter has fertilizer application anyway, there's not a lot of point. And we'll be planting a cover crop during winter in order to regenerate the fields anyway. So the goal next spring is to have seeds growing and fully fertilized. And we don't have to be driving over the fields at all during the spring and summer months. And the only fields we have to care for ongoing will be grass fields. I've made the decision that this is the first and last year we're going to be planting soybeans, because I really don't trust that we're going to be able to harvest them every year. I think this year I planted them in late spring and they didn't germinate until summer. So that's also all that's putting them on a track for only being harvestable early winter. And if we get snow, that's it, they're done. If we get rain, we're gonna have to be very fortunate with ground drying out. But we can't afford to run a farm where we're just losing a crop. Now, I don't mind planting corn, because with corn you're going to end up with you can forage corn when it's wet and before it's ready to harvest. It doesn't have to be ripe. You can forage it early, and so there's a good, even if we don't get corn out of the field, we'll get forage out of the field, so we can bunk that in the silage bunkers and ferment it. And eventually we will be getting some cows, which means we'll be able to make use of the forage for anything other than selling to the BGA and making digestate. And there we are done. Yay. I'm wondering if that other field is ready to deal with. I'll do it tomorrow. We've got harvesting to do right now. What did I want to look up? It wasn't that. Well, it kind of was. So Hilltop stores for... Oh, that's nice. That's actually worth considering doing anyway. Weather report, that's what I wanted. Oh, it's planning to rain this afternoon. Yeah, we need to get into the field and harvesting before that happens. And that means that big oat field should be ready to harvest tomorrow. The engine in this Valtra is a little bit lower horsepower than the standard in-game minimum, which is why it's having a little bit more trouble than you'd expect hauling this tank of fertilizer around. Okay. We'll go in there. Okay, let's get the Lindner out and push that up to the what's it, the header trailer. Should be good enough. So if I'm not mistaken, this mod is a Giants mod that was released on the Mod Hub fairly early. I could be wrong. Farm Sim 17, they released a smaller version and a larger version of this in the Massey Ferguson colours. And then first mod of 17 included effectively the same harvester in green. Now this was quite late to the game for 19. I don't think I've used the Massey Ferguson one either. But I did find these are a fairly good size. that's out of the way. Got it just past there. Jump out and go and get the axe in. The door. And we'll hitch this onto the green cart. Oh, maybe it'll fit. Maybe that's good. Yep, there's enough room there. Brilliant. We should hopefully be able to fit around the harvester. Now, driving up the vents, please. Yes. Let's park this behind the internet. Okay, so fortunately up to the top field it's not that far. It was raining, so good. Okay, let's drive. Whoa. Okay. That was kind of unexpected. Building a little tractor. He's really making use of his all-wheel steering. So this vehicle has a camera over the pipe. May be a little bit annoying. Camera position on this might be we're going uphill, but I feel I'm sitting too high in the cab. Maybe. Okay, so here we are.